My amplified unit, salute! Let BC get situated here. Be nice if I was prepared, right? This thing on? Check, BC about to wreck the community in 3, 2, what? Nah, I'm playing. Relax, it's a Sunday. Everybody take a chill. Hey, in fact, it's the 18th of June. It's Father's Day. So to all the dads in the world, happy Pops Day. And I'm not just talking about those that, as Bobby the Brain Heenan would call them, that are raising little humanoids, but also to the pet owners out there, man, whether little cats, little dogs. If you're Jake the Snake Roberts, remember he had his python Damien, which, if I recall, Earthquake squashed Damien in the middle of the ring during a storyline. I was a tiny BC, and I vividly recall that. Poor Damien. Anyway, let's get this train back on a happy track. Coco Beware and his bird Frankie. Remember Frankie, the bird? He was with Coco. The British Bulldogs had their little bulldog. What was his name? Oh no, BC forgot the dog's name. The British Bulldogs. That tag team would come to the ring with their little bulldog. He had a name, and BC cannot recall it. If anybody remembers it, can you drop it down below? That'd be a huge, because that's gonna really, unless I remember and Google it later, that's gonna be frustrating throughout the podcast, I'm sure. But the point is, whether you're bringing up raising little humanoids or those furry little shits, to all the pet owners out there, trust me, BC understands the time, the dedication, the resources, the finances, the hard work that goes into raising a pet as well. They're basically their family, and it's basically another kid, or maybe your first kid. But to the pet owners as well, if you are a dude that is raising any entity or being, I feel you. Take a breath today, relax. This is your day, man. It's not just the mom that holds it all together. There's a lot of dudes out there that are doing it the right way. They're absolutely kicking ass and being amplified, not just for themselves when they wake up every morning, but for others. So, happy Father's Day. There you go. For everybody that says BC's just an asshole, I'm just a dick, I'm a jerk, I'm so negative, I'm so harsh in my reviews. Relax. I could be nice. Now for this podcast, here we go. The truth is, we are going to drop an alarming amount of truth and honesty in this podcast, guys. It's one of those podcasts where we just have to speak without, and we do this all the time anyway, but I mean this more than ever. Zero sugarcoating, zero BSing one another. Truth, honesty, nothing but facts have to be dropped in this podcast today. And I'm hoping that my audience at large, whether it's my tried and trues that have been with this channel and subscribed from day one, or newer subscribers, maybe you just stumbled upon the channel. You may not like everything you're about to hear, but I assure you, it is nothing but fair and factual. I assure you, I'm not just a fan with 140 characters that desperately wants to give you my opinion and my thoughts about a television show or what I think should be happening because I'm the smartest wrestling fan in the world. I assure you it has nothing to do with that. It is literally coming together with facts over opinion as a whole community. And the amplified unit is a microcosm of the bigger community. Coming together with facts over opinion. Opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one and they're usually full of shit. But more importantly, opinions don't get us anywhere. Some of us like pepperoni on our pizza, some don't. Some like cheeseburgers, some like regular burgers. It's 2023. Some people don't even get a bun with their burger. Right, those are preferences. Best way to put it. Those are preferences, eye of the beholder, likes and dislikes. That's what makes us individualistic. I get it. Cool. We all have different views and different theories and different ways of thinking with any and every subject that's brought up to us, as we should. It's what makes every single one of us an individual and helps with diversity in every area of the world. But there's times where you have to come together with facts. Leave your opinions and your thoughts on something at the door and come to the table with facts. That's the only way that something will get better. And that's what we're going to do in this review, like we always do on this channel. BC is not coming to the table with any sugar. Nothing will be topped off with sugar. Nothing is going to be sugar-coated. I am going to come to the table without any bullshit. It's not going to happen. It'll be facts filled on every plate. Everybody is getting a dish served with nothing but facts. The appetizer will be facts. The main course will be facts. The dessert dish will be facts. Your drinks, whether it's a glass of iced tea and a glass of wine, they will both be filled with facts. And if you get offended with anything that's about to be said, if your feelings are hurt with anything that's about to be said, I cannot apologize, because the goal, the mission, is to make these companies better. Whether it's a WWE or an AEW, I am not coming to you as a fan that thinks he knows it all. I'm the smartest fan, or at least smarter than most. Everyone's got to listen to me. I have all the answers. I'm literally doing what all of you should be doing. Have all my ducks in a row. Do all my research. Know what the history is so it doesn't repeat itself. Have all my statistics, my metrics, my numbers in line. And just see factually what works and what doesn't. What's the trajectory? What does everything mean? Does everything have a purpose? Do these characters connect? Do people care about the characters? Is it a match worthy of watching 2, 3, 10 times in the future? Or is it a match you're going to watch once? Say all the chants like, "This is awesome." Tweet in 140 characters how you just witnessed a banger, but you'll never truly go back and watch it. What's the facts? We're going to talk about it. The most honest review you're going to get in this community, because by now you've probably listened or watched every other schmuck who puts out a podcast, or every other content creator that tries to do what BC does, but clearly will not reach that level because they're not doing their due diligence. But if they don't like AEW, you're going to hear the show sucked last night. If they love AEW, you're going to hear weird shit like, last night's show was epic and flawless. Last night's show was perfect. Wow, then it's going to be pulling in a 5 or a 6 million viewership. It's flawless. It's epic last night. It was perfect last night. Wow, a perfect wrestling show, a flawless wrestling show. There's nowhere to go. So last night is the ceiling, right? That's what you're telling me. Is that the truth, though? Or are people just BSing their audiences? Oh, I think it's the latter. And BC's going to talk all about it. So I'm going to get a big swig of my Dunkin' Extra coffee. You guys are going to smash that up. You're going to come on back. Hopefully you got your double shot extra coffee, whether it's from Dunkin', Starbucks, or the local mom and pop shop. Maybe you got a Seattle's Best. Maybe you got a Tim Hortons. Do you got a Tim Hortons? You over in Canada? They got them in Ohio, too. I was in Ohio recently. They got a lot of Tim Hortons coffee. Anyway, grab your coffee, down that shit, because when we come back, I need you amplified. I need you to put your feelings, leave them at the door, and get ready to talk real wrestling talk with BC Amplified. That's it. That's your cold open. That's your teaser. Come on back. Let's do this properly. All right, so I'm not going to waste any time. I'm going to get right into this. For anybody that thinks I'm just going to rip apart AEW's Collision last night, wrong, actually. I'm going to talk a lot of truth that is going to hurt the feelings of a lot of tribalist AEW fans in a couple of minutes. But first and foremost, that show was fun last night. That was absolutely a fun show to watch for BC-ish, anyway. The majority of it. Was there some areas that I was bored out my dome piece? No question. But for the most part, it was a fun and good flowing show. So that may shock you right there. BC said something ultra positive about AEW. I felt that way too, B. I thought it was a good show, BC. I'll even give you a good show. That's fine. I will if you say that was a good show last night, no complaint. I won't even combat that. I have no argument to go against that. If you feel that was good, I kind of do too. Now, you'll see in the community, right? People take it way too far. You get something good, and then they just get so fucking hard, and they bust a nut in fucking 2.02 seconds. Quicker than that. What's 2.20? I don't even know what that is. Fastly, they bust a fucking nut the second they get a good show. Well, you start hearing things like, wow, that was an epic show. It was flawless. It was perfect. No, stop. What are you talking about? There was Attitude Era shows that were not fucking flawless and epic and amazing, right? You hear amazing all the time. Perfect. You can't get better than perfect, right? But that's what we do every single time a show is decent to good. We get carried away. We bust a nut and we just start exploding on our Twitter about how amazing, awesome, flawless, epic, and perfect it was. Can't we just say it was decent? It was good. Can't we just say that? Can't we save awesome and amazing and perfect and flawless for shows that captivate the wrestling world? Can't we just save that? Because last night didn't captivate the wrestling world, guys. Phillip Brooks cut a decent promo. You can call it good. I mean, there were some zingers over to the Bucks with some clever quotes we'll go over. He didn't really say anything that crazy. I'd watch MJF and Adam Cole from last Wednesday's promo before I ever watched CM Punk's again. And then he wrestled in a six-man schmaz. Nothing happened afterwards. Right? The faces celebrate and we go off the air and everything in between. We got some good wrestling. But awesome, amazing. Guys, last night's Collision was fun. For BC, maybe you watched the whole thing and didn't think it was fun, didn't like it. That's cool too, by the way. That's absolutely fine. But for a company that's been struggling as of recent, like AEW, and that's why the numbers are going backwards, like with no competition from the NBA, NHL, you see them just barely over 800,000 on their flagship Dynamite this week. That's with no sporting competition. It's because fans are turning away. It's just not interesting to them anymore. We used to say that about WWE, especially for Raw, and that's still the case. They're only pulling a 1.5. But for AEW, they at least had a tried and true that was 950-ish. Now their new tried and true is less than 850 as their top tier. That's sad to see, right? So you see that happening, and we continue to just BS, right? We continue to call every decent show great. Every good show is epic and flawless. If we're more real with ourselves, then Tony Khan will get a vibe of that realness, and maybe he'll change things correctly. But last night's show for BC was at least fun. The problem is, going bowling every 6 months with your friends is fun. Going to the movies every 3 or 4 months with your cousins, that could be fun. Going to the strip club with your best friend every couple of months. See those how you doings up on stage. Pop a few shots, have a good time with your best friend down at the local strip club, right? Every couple of months, that's fun. Maybe every month or two, by yourself, you go to the casino. Drop a few hundies on some roulette, maybe some slot machines for a few hours. Unwind with a few drinks, try to strike it big, strike it rich. Every month or two, you take a few $100s and you go to the local casino. That's fun, right? That's fun. The problem is last night's Collision was just fun. It's not going to captivate the majority of the audience to keep watching. Unless you're a niche bowler, you're not bowling every week. You're not. Statistics say, numbers say, that most people bowl at most one to two times every single year. So you break that to about every 6 months, clearly. 1 to 2 times a year. And in that same study, a large amount of people said they haven't bowled in years. But it's fun when you get people together and you go bowling. Going to the casino is not an every week thing. Numbers tell us that. Going to the strip club is not an every week thing for a lot of dudes. Numbers tell us that. Some of you guys are saying that's not true, BC. I'm there every other day. Going to the movies, believe it or not, is not an every week thing like it used to be. There was a time. Not even close anymore. Statistics say that people go to the movies, if they're lucky, every 3 to 4 months. But it's fun. Fun is good for the moment. Fun is good for the time. Fun does not make you come right back the next week or even the week after or even the week after. Fun doesn't captivate you enough to put on your clothes, gussy up, put on your best face, and go out on that Saturday night to mingle at the movies or the bowling alley. Or maybe you're at the strip club with your man or up on the stage, whichever it is. Fun does not motivate you enough to do it every single week. Fun alone will not do that. You have to be intrigued. You have to be captivated. There has to be a reason for you to do this every week, right? You went out with your friends and you bowled. It was a really good time. Why wouldn't you want to do it the next week? There's not reason to. You're not even thinking about that 3 days later. You're on to the next. What's the next fun we're going to have? That's how people think. Unless you have a reason to come back to that bowling alley the next week, right? Maybe that girl that you grew up crushing on in high school, she now works at that bowling alley you found out while you were with your friends bowling. She works there. You're newly single. You found out she's single. You now have a reason to go there next week with your buddies, right? To get your buddies out. You're going to force them to go with you the next week. Because now there's a reason. Yeah, the bowling is fun. That's cool. But there's intrigue. There's something captivating you there. It's not just you want to show up next week. You need to, man. This girl's calling your name. Now you're going back. There has to be a reason, is my point. I'm breaking this down the best way I can for you guys so you truly understand what I'm talking about. So it's not just a fan with an opinion, right? Because I'm going to end up being right about this. I'm telling you right now, guys. I saw the same thing happen with Rampage. And last night, it was the same formula that they used. So you might not want to hear this. You're going to say, I disagree, basically. That's cool if you disagree. I don't know what to tell you. I'm not going to read your paragraph of disagreeing with me. I'm just not going to do it. I have too much business to do during the day. I'm not going to read your paragraph about disagreeing with me. There's nothing to disagree about. I'm not giving you my opinion. I'm giving you facts. What we saw last night for a lot of us wrestling fans was a fun night of wrestling. And history has shown us, if you do your research, that is not enough to get your audience back. I would not be surprised. This is the premiere show. I'm expecting a good rating. I don't know if they're going to pull the 1.129 that CM Punk got when he debuted on Rampage a couple years ago. I don't know if they're going to get a 1.129. They got help from the Yankees and the Red Sox. They were in a weather postponement. So the Yankees and the Red Sox did not play last night. That is a blessing. That is at least, because I'm a numbers guy, I crack the numbers, and my metrics tell me that between 20 to 30,000 viewers is what that could affect. So that means AEW is hopefully going to attract 20 to 30,000 viewers that would have been watching that Yankee Red Sox game. That's not saying that would have been their total audience, by the way, the Yankees and the Red Sox. I'm telling you what the piece of that audience that would most likely tune into AEW, research shows that it's between 20 and 30,000 that would go from that game over to AEW. So that's a help. May not seem like a lot, but that's a gigantic amount when you're only pulling in 800,000 on your flagship Wednesday Night Dynamite show. 20 to 30,000 is a lot of viewers to AEW right now. But I don't know if they're going to pull a 1129 like they did with the debut of Rampage. I wouldn't be shocked if they struggled to hit 1 million or be around that million. It would be a shame if they pulled anything under 800. And they're just around the flagship Dynamite show. That shows you that all of this Punk drama and supposed interest didn't accumulate to anything. The bare minimum is going to be 900 to 1 million, right? You want to get your old top tier niche, which is 950. You want to get that back at the bare minimum, guys, and hope that you captivated them enough last night to keep tuning in. But again, not just your casual fans that I'm talking about, but even your niche. And all those niche fans you're trying to get back to become niche again. There was not enough last night to keep them coming back, even next week. And you say, BC, I don't agree, man. The show is so good. I'm going to be there first. I'm going to be watching that channel at 7:40 next week, BC. 20 minutes before the show. So this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. There's no doubt. I believe you. You're probably part of that niche. There's no question you'll be there. There's a niche audience that goes and watch people play golf. Golf! You literally walk from hole to watch an old guy fucking hit a little ball with a club into a little hole, and they'll do that the whole day. They have a niche audience. They will watch rain or shine. Doesn't matter. There's a niche audience for everything. There's people that show up to hot dog contest. They love it. So yeah, you're gonna be there every week. That's great. You're part of what we call a niche audience. Sadly, that niche audience is going backwards. It's going in the opposite direction. Every week, we're seeing less and less niche fans. They're becoming unniched. And that's where BC is trying to tell you why. Just fun wrestling, right? Good wrestling matches is not going to substitute larger-than-life characters with storylines that captivate us, which intrigue us to the point to watch because we need to the next week, not just because we want to. That's missing. Last night was a fun show for the 2 hours we had. Nothing on that show is going to make the audience at large tune in next week or going forward. Don't be shocked if the rating drops massively in just 1 week from last night to next week. And by 4 weeks from now, a month from now, do not be shocked. Remember, BC said this. Don't be shocked if there's between 300,000 to 400,000 viewers that have stopped watching in just 1 month's time. I'm going that big if they don't produce storylines that captivate. What happened last night is exactly what BC said cannot happen. Tony Khan said there's going to be a 6-man tag match with Punk, and Tony Khan said, I'm going to give CM Punk a microphone. I said he can't just say words with some zingers and then go have a normal 6-man tag with the faces celebrating off the air as we go off the air, right? That's the most simplistic thing with no creativity. And what did they do last night? CM Punk went out there, said some words. The whole audience is talking about pipe bombs. Whoa, mic drop. The king is back, CM Punk. The promo was bare minimum. Listen to the promo again. The zinger about David Zasloff, whatever his name is. By the way, he's the Warner Brothers CEO or president. He's the top guy over for Warner Brothers. Calls me One Bill Phil because everybody else in the wrestling world is counterfeit bucks or something like that. I'm paraphrasing. I don't have the exact quote in front of me, but something like that, right? Everyone else is counterfeit bucks. Obviously talking about the Young Bucks. To the point where, by the way, the Young Bucks have responded. They changed their Twitter bio. And it now says, and I quote from the Young Bucks, if it were 2018, we'd already have a counterfeit Bucks t-shirt available on Pro Wrestling Tees. Kill it, y'all. Showing that they're not fazed by this at all. So they responded with that quote on their Twitter bio, social media bio. So he sent some zingers. There's no question, right? And everybody, they got their nut off, right? Everybody got hard from that shit. And he just ended it, man. That was it. And like, all right, that didn't really tell us that much. He held up a bag with we think is a championship, so he's still kind of calling himself the champ. Kind of like when he came back when John Cena was the new champion in WWE and Punk came back and they both raised their titles up and we went off the air. That was at least intriguing. But he's holding up a bag like it is Damien, Jake the Snake's snake. He used to come to the ring with a green bag and there was a snake in there. I didn't know if that was a title, a snake. Was it the Bulldog from the British Bulldogs? Who knows? Maybe it's the old women's championships in WWE, the Raw Women's Championship and the Blue SmackDown Women's Championship. Maybe those are in the... We don't know. He's holding up a bag like he's Santa Claus. And that was the promo. The wrestling world, of course, does what the wrestling world does all the time. Overreacted. Greatest promo ever. Flawless. They could end it right there and that's the night. Like, what the fuck? What are we doing, guys? He said some words. Wrestling fans will take the littlest thing and they'll just fucking bust a nut over it. Relax, man. That was not anywhere near one of Punk's best promos. But eye of the beholder. Maybe some fans truly busted a nut over that shit. And then, the end of the night, FTR and CM Punk just simplistically defeated Samoa Joe and Bullet Club Gold. Just beat them. Celebrated to the hard cam. And we went off the air. I told you guys a couple podcasts ago, I said they have to set up a massive story. You had 7 to 9 months at least, somewhere in between there, where Punk was gone and all this drama was building, and Tony Khan decided to bring him back and give him his own show, basically. Work with who you want to work with, get creative. Dax he put into creative. Ace Steel is going to be involved. We heard he wasn't there last night, but he's involved. He's working with his people, his good friends like Samoa Joe and FTR. Everything revolves around... Okay, so 7 to 9 months. There's no reason not to come back and from the jump, drop one of the biggest wrestling stories we've seen in years. Rival what the Bloodline is doing, obviously in a different way, but rival it. I'm not saying you got to be as big as the NWO storyline, but you need to come back and from night one, captivate your audience. Has to be done. There's no exceptions. You can't wait till week 2, week 3, week 7. You only have one shot at a first impression. When you have a first impression, that is your one chance. An assessment and a judgment has already been made by everybody that saw your first appearance. Don't be shocked when the ratings drop considerably starting in 1 week's time next week, and so on. They didn't captivate last night. Nothing makes fans tune in next week. Nothing. CM Punk is with FTR celebrating. Okay. Congrats, you just beat your ROH champ, Samoa Joe. Jay White already get fucking taking an L, but he didn't get the pin, BC. He didn't get pinned. I don't care. He still has the L next to his name. And the faces celebrate. CM Punk came back to throw some social media disses at the Young Bucks. Have a 6-man tag that was average to decent. Let's not act like this was one of the most athletic pound-for-pound matchups we've ever seen. But, of course, we're going to overexpose it. Because that's what we do. He has a 6-man tag, and we go off the air. All of that waiting for CM Punk. And that was it. He's a face. He's celebrating with the faces. Good night, everybody. That's what we got. All of that time on night number 1, you have to do something for your wrestling audience that completely engulfs them into the story. They are captivated. You do that on night 1. Because now you're going to have to work twice, 3, 10 to 100 times harder to switch up Phil Brooks. Phil Brooks' new character in AEW is, I'm done being nice. Tell me when I'm lying, he kept saying. This is the I'm done being nice Phil. So we're going to play the 50-50 John Cena, 50-50 Roman Reigns old character, right? Half of you can cheer me, half of you can boo me, but I'm going to be real. That's his character. Always been the same Phil Brooks. Not going to change much. That's why we love him, basically. Okay. That's his character. He came back after all this time with all this drama, and you could have done something nuclear, big time, and instead you go, some of you are going to cheer me, some of you are going to boo me, and I don't care because I'm not going to change. I'm done being nice. You were done being nice with John Cena back in WWE. You were done being nice, and he was a face. He was a face too. You were done being nice to Hangman Page. Hangman was a face when you were in that face-to-face fucking... face-to-face as a face in a face. You were always that dude. Is he more edgier now? You guys know I'm right. A lot of you guys are not going to want to hear this, man. Come on, BC, man. Come on, man. I'm going to tune in next week, man. I mean, this is a setup, BC. It's going to lead. He's got the bag. He's going to call himself the champion. And BC, it's going to be massive. No, it's not. Stop. You are a fan. I understand. You need to look in the mirror with your AEW hat and your AEW t-shirt and just admit you're a fan. And there's nothing wrong with that. But when you come across channels like this and you truly want your company to succeed, blossom bigger and better than ever, then you have to deal with facts. What happened last night is not captivating an audience. Good luck getting that number to go up next week. And the rest of the card, Miro defeats Tony Nese. Right? They had all the WWE guys out there, right? Tony Khan played it like that. He talked with Warner Brother Discovery, Turner Networks. They said, what if we get all the names that people know, right? Everybody was out there. Ruby Riott, Ruby Soho, Miro, Rusev, Andrade. I think Tony Storm was out there. You had all the people that WWE fans know. Dax, Punk, they're all out there. Okay. Miro defeating Tony Nese. Yes. Good to see Miro again. Destroying Tony Nese. Okay. Like I admitted, as a whole, it flowed. And it was, for the most part, a fun show. But nothing with Miro and Tony Nese is making you tune in next week. You're not going to be with a bunch of friends at dinner, look at your watch and go, 7:30? Shit, I got to go and watch Collision. And your fans are like, well, fucking Jimmy, where are you going, man? What the Collision? We haven't even gotten our main courses. I know, but you don't understand, man. Last week, Miro beat Tony Nese. And Andrade and Buddy Matthews Murphy. Matthews Murphy McGillicuddy. Whatever he's calling himself these days. Buddy. And Andrade, they had such a good wrestling match last week. I have to see what Andrade's doing this week. I have to see what's up with Miro this week, man. And you don't even understand. Last week, Sky Blue with Nightingale defeated the Outcasts. I gotta see what Sky Blue is gonna do this week. And you guys, you talk about your main course and you're going to sit here and gossip and laugh and giggle over a meal at this restaurant. Well, I'm going to be watching what CM Punk does next. Because last week, he won a 6-man tag. That's right. And he cut a promo and he called the Young Bucks counterfeit Bucks. So, I mean, you don't understand. Yeah, I'm missing the main course meal, but I'm going to watch Collision. Because everything last week set up my main course meal. I am intrigued, I am captivated, and fuck you all. And by the way, I'm not even paying for this salad. Who's doing that? Who the fuck's running home or even thinking on Saturday morning, oh yeah, I got Collision tonight, man. What happened last week? Oh, I can't wait to see what the fuck happens this week, man. The storylines. There is none. There's no storylines. Come on. Come on, give me a storyline with Willow and Roxy. Sky Blue and Nightingale defeating the Outcast. The Outcast, Tony Storm, Saraya. I mean, these are the people in this Outcast group. And you defeat them nonsensically. And by the way, I like Sky Blue. What's the storyline, guys? We're just going to have matches between them going forward. What's the storyline with Andrade and Buddy other than a good wrestling match? After the match, Andrade went to shake Matthews Murphy McGillicuddy's hand. The lights went out. Alistair Malachi Black is in the ring with Brody. Brody gives a vicious clothesline. The lights go out, and that's the segment. We go to commercial break. well, I gotta see what happens with House of Black now and Andrade. We've already seen this play out with Andrade and Malachi. You're telling me that's keeping you excited for 7 days? Miro wrecked Tony Nese. Now you're so excited to see who Miro wrecks next week. And CM Punk. CM Punk does what last night that got you intrigued to watch next week? Can you not wait till he cuts another promo so he can do some more social media zingers on the microphone? Do you want to see CM Punk in another 6 or maybe an 8-man tag match? Because I'll tell you, I set the bar a little bit higher last night because I gave Tony Khan the benefit of the doubt and even Phil Brooks. I said, all right, you had all this time. Night 1, let's deliver a storyline that gives the pro wrestling world a shot upside the dome piece. Rocks the wrestling world to the core in a much positive way than what we've been dealt with the last 10 plus years. In a really good way, the wrestling world gets flipped upside down. Last night, AEW had the chance to do that. Phillip Brooks, Tony Khan. And it was a massive botch. We had a good flowing show. And a lot of us thought it was a fun show. A lot of you guys might have called it a good show. And it does nothing. Sadly, guys, I don't take joy in saying this. I think you're finding out pretty quickly if you're new to the channel, I am a very real critic in this community. Not just a fan who just wants to give you my opinions. No, I've been doing this shit since I was a little BC, man. Critiquing pro wrestling, pissing off the adults that were with me because they were like, shut up, BC. We're just trying to watch it, man. We don't have to know that was a botch. Or we don't have to know that this motherfucker's injured. You think he is. It's part of the story, the way he's waddling in that ring, and then we find out he's out for 6 months. BC, I always had a different keen eye for pro wrestling. I see everything as it's happening, and I'm even seeing a mile ahead of everything else. This is what I do, man. I think you guys are getting a clearer picture of what I want on this channel. I want to help these companies. I want pro wrestling to be the very best that it can be. You don't want to hear it, I understand. You thought it was a good show last night. I hear you. You thought it was a fun show last night? I did too. That's not the point. The truth is, it doesn't do anything for the future. They botched. This was one of those shows where you had one of the biggest audiences you're going to get, the premiere. Just like Dynamite's premiere, which debuted at over 1.4. And recently it's been in the 700,000s, not even just 800. Well, 700,000 viewers from a 1.4 million is literally half your audience cut in half. They debuted at a 1.4. That was your chance to captivate the world going forward. They didn't do that. Rampage debuted at a 1.12, right? CM Punk was a 1.129. Maybe that was their debut. The point is, well over a million. What was Rampage last week? Into the 200,000 viewers. Not even just cut in half. That was cut into less than a fourth of their viewers. And we're seeing the same trajectory now already in week 1. We don't even have the number for last night's show. It could have popped 1 million plus. But it's about what happens next. We're seeing history repeat itself. They didn't care to give us a storyline that captivated the world on night 1. First impressions matter. They're the most biggest responsibility that you can have as a promoter. One of the biggest responsibilities is debuting a character and a show and a concept and a storyline, anything creative, debuting that with the best creative imaginable backing it. The most resources, the most thought process going into it, the most dedicated vision. And if you're telling me that we waited all those months and that show was the show that's supposed to captivate you to keep watching, I'm saying you're going to be wrong. Because I'm not saying anything that should be that shocking. I'm telling you everything we've already seen from this company with their other shows and how far they have fallen off. And it's because of the booking we saw last night. They're booking to a niche that's going backwards. Good wrestling, okay, that's a cherry on top. BC, it's called professional wrestling and you just called it a cherry on top? That's exactly what I said. Wrestling without larger-than-life characters involved with storylines that captivate and intrigue you to the point where you need to tune in next week, not just want to. Without that, there is no pro wrestling. The foundation has crumbled to its core. Good luck just having wrestler A and wrestler B go out there for 20, 25 minutes and put on moves in organized, choreographed, rehearsed combat. Because all the 740, 650, 410, Hurricanrana, Canadian Destroyer, Splash, somersaults are not going to matter. Because nobody will care. A good show last night, a fun show last night, and if you're listening or watching to people in the community, because I've already seen headlines, it's mind-boggling, but I shouldn't be shocked. It was a flawless night last night. It was perfect. It was epic. It was amazing. It was awesome. No, it was good at best, but it was not enough to do the job that it needed to do. That's the fairest thing I can say, man. It's as fair as a critique of this show as you're going to get. I absolutely admit, BC, for the most part of that show, I thought it was a nice flow on a Saturday night. I thought it was a decent show. I'll give you good. It was nothing that you need to tune into next week, guys. That's the point. You can have something that's good. You can have something that's fun. It doesn't make it must-see. You know, a lot of sequels bomb, they fail, not because the first movie was bad. The reason that a sequel gets greenlit by a production studio is because the first movie was really good. At least good. More than decent when you're talking about movies. But a sequel gets made because that was good. So why do not as many people go and watch sequels? Normally, anyway. Wasn't enough to be must-see. You produced something that was good, it popped a number. Production studio didn't have any creativity for any new idea, so they said, let's redo this, see what it does. Maybe we'll at least break even. You could go to a restaurant and have a good meal. If everything else isn't checked off in those boxes, nobody's going to go back to eat that juicy steak that was perfectly cooked. If the ambiance sucked, if shit wasn't clean, if you didn't like the host and the waiter, bad area, these are all things that'll take somebody away. Or maybe they'll come by real quick. They'll order it, right? They'll come back real. They're not going to dine in and spend more money because they're having some drinks and you're really getting them right where you want them. Then the waiter can really push the dessert menu. No, they're going to order it, ride up real quick. Honey, stay in the car. Be right out. 2 minutes, you run in, you get out, you get your steak, and you move out, right? That's the equivalent to somebody who's watching something else, but they stop by during their commercial breaks to see what's happening on Collision, right? That's the equivalent to the person that now orders their food, picks it up, and takes off. They don't sit in that restaurant anymore because too many boxes were unchecked. That's the person that no longer feels they need to watch shows like Collision or Rampage or Dynamite or Monday Night Raw. So they tune in during commercial, like, same thing. Oh, Miro's destroying somebody else. Oh, look at that. Sky Blue is beating Britt Baker now. Wow. Pretty cool. I like Sky Blue. All right, let me go back to Vanderpump Rules. Let me go back to Grey's Anatomy here. The Sopranos still on HBO? Let me see. Oh, look at that. Andrade versus Buddy for the 10th time. Oh, House of Black isn't coming out with the lights off. They're already out at ringside. Look at that. House of Black is out there for the fucking millionth time with Buddy, Matthews, Murphy, McGillicuddy. Let me go back to Breaking Bad. Oh, look at that. The Walking Dead. Guys, I mean, we laugh, we kid around, but that's what's happening. You know? So, you know, this was a very honest discussion that we had to have. I thank you guys big time for having that with BC. It needed to happen because a lot of people just, the littlest thing that they enjoy or they thought was good, they take it to the next level. Like, good becomes amazing, flawless, epic. And it's like, no, calm down, because when shows do reach that, we want to call that out for what it is and really show the promoters that they did something uber special. Last night was not uber special, guys. No matter how much you enjoyed it, I just went over the show with you. I just went over all the matches. Nothing on last night's show is anything you'd go back and watch again. In fact, what I didn't mention is Wardlow losing to Luchasaurus, losing his championship. And I used to get pissed off with that shit, right? Because Wardlow has been destroyed 5 separate times by Tony Khan, sadly. There was times where Wardlow could have been one of the faces of the company, and he's a foolish looking dude out there now. He's got his little singlet on. He's got his little shaved head. He looks like an average guy now. He looks like a jobber. He looks like a bootleg Braun Breaker, when there was a time we should have been saying Braun Breaker is a bootleg Wardlow. Wardlow looks like a dude that couldn't lace Braun Breaker's boots. Breaker looks like a superstar. Wardlow doesn't. And you guys, if you've been following the channel, know how much I've been praising Wardlow. But he's been destroyed so many times. I think his own confidence got shook. And here he is last night with another short title reign. It's back over to Luchasaurus. And you say, well, Christian played a good manager role, Beasley. Okay. The fuck was that? But it was a decent match. That's right, I said decent. I didn't blow a load over this match, and I watched it. It's not a match I'll ever go back and watch a second time, and I know if you're being truthful, you're not gonna either. You're not going to go back and watch Tony Nese and Miro. You're not going to watch Murphy, Matthews, McGillicuddy versus Andrade. You're not going to watch Willow Nightingale and Sky Blue versus Outcasts. And you're not even going to watch the main event 6-man schmaz again. You're not gonna. It's on to the next. It was fun for the night, like a night of bowling or a night out at the movies with your cousins or good friends. Night at the strip club, night at the casino. It's fun for the time. It's not something you do often. So I don't even get pissed off with the Wardlow shit anymore. I wasn't even shocked. I was like, yep, that sounds about right. That's how Tony books him. That's how he views him. And I don't even have a feeling with Wardlow anyway. The guy just looks goofy anyway. The look is goofy. His booking has been atrocious and criminal and tragic. And he's done. He's done. Look at the crowd reaction now. It's a speck of what it used to be. You can now say Wardlow's been ruined 6 times, but I still count this as the 5th time. I still count this as, because after the 5th time, I was done. And this just cements that idea, that way of thinking. And I know a lot of people are like BC. Man, did they just crush anything that Wardlow had that was firing on all cylinders. All the momentum that Wardlow had. It's done, bro. Absolutely done. I would never put him in the category of like a Batista, where many months ago, I was like, dude, this is what he was doing with MJF. That storyline was the best AEW storyline that I personally have seen in AEW's history thus far. Wardlow was involved with that. And now I look at Wardlow, and he's not even in the same category as Batista. And I feel he would fucking pale in comparison to even Braun Breaker, NXT's developmental talent. I didn't mind last night's show. I thought it was fun for the most part. I thought it was decent to maybe even good-ish. Nothing that happened last night I will ever watch again, because I just don't need to. And nothing last night would make me tune in next week. Doesn't mean I won't. Maybe circumstances arise and I come across it. But my point is, most wrestling fans, after that show went off the air last night, most wrestling fans are not going, oh, that's it. I gotta tune into Collision. I'm gonna spend my Saturday nights from 8 to 10. That's how I'm gonna spend my Saturday nights. Now, if you really don't have anything going on in your life, then okay, that's cool. You know what I mean? Get a nice cup of cocoa, a blankie, right? And that's your Saturday night. You know, but let's not act like this is a Monday, a Tuesday, a Wednesday, a Thursday, or even a Friday. Saturday night. And that show is what propels an entire wrestling world to need to watch every week. You know that's bullshit. major bullshit. You know that. And I'm talking to even the AEW diehard tried and true fans. I'm talking to you. You know. You will be tuning in next week, maybe. No doubt. You're probably a tribalist, diehard, AEW shirt, AEW hat, a true fan. That's cool. That's awesome for you. But I hope you understand the wrestling world as a whole is not going to be captivated from last night's show. And you will start to see that with even your fellow tried and true fans. We know that because it's already happening on the flagship show. Rampage is already, it's DOA, unfortunately. It's only a matter of time before that has to get booted off the air. That's sad to say, but they're into the 200,000s as of last week. But Dynamite, they've lost the 950 in each top tier. They're now around 850, and even last week, even less. They've tapped into the 700,000 several times in the past couple months. That's how we know that this Saturday night show that is going to come across sports competition like you've never seen before. It's going to come across once a month to once every 2 months tops, a WWE premium live event pay-per-view on a Saturday night. They're going to come across a lot of those. Playoffs like you've never seen before. They're going to come across a lot. And on top of that, it's already Saturday night. And that's the show that you wanted as your first impression to not just tell fans, hey, good show, or hey, I had fun. That was a good flowing show. No, that's the show that's going to captivate the world. The storylines last night. Hey, good job, WWE and Bloodline, but AEW just said, hold my coffee. Did you guys see what happened with Punk? We're not doing that. We're talking about counterfeit bucks. After all this wait, the wrestling world is busting a nut on counterfeit bucks in a 6-man tag victory from CM Punk. And he's got something in a red bag, like Santa Claus. You know I'm right, man. You know I'm right. And that's why I piss a lot of people off in the community, because I just dish truth and facts and they just don't want to hear it. Nah, earmuffs. La, 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 la. I'm tuning in and I love every bit of it, baby. It's fine. It's bigger than just you. That's the point. We're talking about the wrestling world and how to save it. We're trying to help Tony Khan. And if you're not going to deal in facts, then you're not part of the solution. You're part of the problem. And you're actually not an AEW fan, whether you know it or not. You just found out. You actually are not helping AEW at all. And I would say the same thing, and I have said the same thing when I'm covering WWE. BC Amplified, that's my thoughts on last night's show. I'm going to stick around for a minute, too, because I want to give some big thank yous over to... And by the way, real quick, Jim Ross has sent out a statement. He is apologizing for his voice and performance last night and says that he is effective immediately stepping away. He is stepping away to heal and just recollect, basically. He apologized, and Jim Ross does not have to apologize. He's such a go-getter. He's such a hard worker. He probably pushed to commentate last night, and Tony Khan, this is the moments where Tony Khan has to get his balls. I don't know if they're in Stephanie's purse next to Hunter Hearst Helmsley's or not. But Tony Khan has to attach the balls, step up, and say, Jim, I love you. I love the work ethic. I love how you want to work right now. I can't have you go out and commentate like that. Tony Khan should have never even allowed that. But Jim Ross doesn't have to apologize. We hope nothing but the best for Jim Ross, for sure. But that's a comment from Jim himself. Also, and again, I don't have the number for AEW yet. And that's probably going to be a first affiliate anyway, so we're going to have to wait for the actual number by Monday-ish, maybe? Or is it a holiday for the June 19th? That might be it might be postponed. But we'll see what the number is. It's going to be interesting to see. I mean, this is going to be the biggest rating that Collision gets. I truly believe that. That was not a show that's going to pull a bigger rating next week. I'd be absolutely, unless they really stacked... like you have a Tony Khan special announcement, a stacked card, unless things really intrigue the wrestling world throughout the week. Unfortunately, it's going to start sliding. But I want to give a big shout out to my amplified unit that sent over coffees in that last podcast yesterday. There were several of you guys, and when I find who those individuals are, I got to get it on the big screen. It's easier for BC. That's why. Yes, here we go. So there were several of you guys. There's a thanks button down below. It's never needed, but it's always appreciated. You just smash that, and it sends the content creator a tip, basically, for entertaining you guys. I never ask for that. You guys have just been lately throwing coffees at BC, so what I've been doing at the end of every podcast, if there is any super thankers, I've been thanking you guys right back. It's almost become a section of the podcast now that we do, where I can give those super thankers a big shout out. So I would like to do that now with, first and foremost, oh wow, hold on, there was a few more. Damn. WWE AEW Marvel fan with a 5-spot coffee super thanks. Great SmackDown review, BC. You spoke nothing but the straight up facts. And also, yesterday, hours before SmackDown, WWE has announced Payback will be returning as a pay-per-view September 2nd, 2023. First of all, WWE, AEW Marvel fan, I appreciate your kind words, man. I'm glad that you enjoyed that SmackDown review. I got that out later than anybody in the community, and as of now, it is over 5,000 views, man, even though I was the last one to come walking on in with a review. I actually recorded that right after the event, but I didn't want to be one of those schmucks that throws out a review immediately after the show. You know, if I'm not doing a live watch-along, live reaction review, I want to hold off. So even though it was recorded after the show, I didn't put it out until the next morning/afternoon. So I'm glad you enjoyed that. And as far as Payback coming back, that is true. WWE AEW Marvel fan is correct. Payback is coming September 2nd, 2023. It's basically what Backlash is to WrestleMania, right? The backlash of WrestleMania. Well, now this is the payback from SummerSlam. So you kind of see what they're doing there. That just tells me it's going to be a bunch of rematches from SummerSlam. So I'm not excited about that at all, nor was Payback ever anything special. It's a silly name with a pay-per-view history that nobody's really going to remember. I don't remember anything that happened at Payback. Now, obviously, we can go back and see certain things that were big and go, oh, yeah, that was Payback. But off the top of our dome, if you think BC is going, oh, I remember when this happened, man, that was Payback. No, so I'm not exactly excited about that, but I see what they're doing there. WWE, AEW Marvel fan, I appreciate the coffee, man. On a regular podcast upload, it's truly humbling. And you want to talk humbling, bro? Carlos Ray, one of my tried and trues on the channel. Don't get to see him up in the chats anymore, whether it's live streams or in the comments. I don't get to see Carlos too much anymore. Life happens, right, to all of us. So Carlos is rocking out in the world, and but every once in a while, Carlos stops in to say what's up. Gold card status throughout. So even though Carlos doesn't show up as often, he remains gold status. One of the first ones to join on too. So I wanted to give a special shout out to Carlos. And that was a 20-spot thanks, by the way. A 20-spot super thanks. A bunch of coffees getting fucking chucked at the channel, man. And BC caught them all, Carlos. Thanks. Great vid, BC. Really enjoyed hearing your points of view on this show. As always, your thoughts and perspective make the show so much better. Salute. Salute back to you, Carlos, and I appreciate those words big time. Really enjoyed hearing your points of view on the show. Always enjoy your thoughts and perspective. It makes the show so much better. Carlos, absolutely humbling, man. After all this time, to have my tried and trues still take my critiques of these shows and know that it is coming from the purest, most factual place from within. That means so much. It's one thing to get newer subscribers. That I appreciate that, because I never push that subscription button. You guys know that. It's about quality over quantity for BC. You're not going to hear me in podcasts going, don't forget to subscribe. No, I'll say smash the up, help the algorithm. But I don't do that. I want people to naturally want to subscribe or not. If you can deal with the amplification, we'd love to have you. If you become a channel member, which is the top tier of support you could possibly show to the channel, dude, that's fucking top tier humbling. But, man, newer subscribers is one thing. To have my tried and trues still with me on this whole ride, man, all these years later. So, Carlos, man, I appreciate that big time, man. And more than anything, the coffees is top tier. But just seeing you up in the chat and in the comments, man, it's always good to see, Carlos. Stop by whenever, man. I know life happens, but every once in a while, even if it's only that sparse, come on in, say what's up. Love to say what's up back to you. Carlos Ray, man. 20 spot, bunch of coffees, and that was a regular podcast upload, guys. And you guys just came fucking just rocking in that podcast. And that wasn't even it. Stegmeister, Ash Stegels, one of my tried and trues, dropping fucking banger bombs to start live chats, live streams, starting the party off always in the biggest of ways. Stegmeister came up with a 2-spot coffee. He says, call me crazy, but what if the Usos leaving the bloodline was all a part of Jimmy's plan to get Jay out of the right-hand man position, only to turn on him and take his place at Roman's side? Salute, BC. Another banger of a review. And the like button. And like button, watch out, because there's a Claymore with your name on it. A Claymore party for that like button. Stagmeister, appreciate it, bro. As far as your scenario with the bloodline, the problem with that, because it's creative, right? What if this was all part of Jimmy's plan to get Jay out? The problem is he's super kicking Roman's dome piece off, right? I mean, him with his brother absolutely dropped Roman, dropped Solo. Roman got dropped twice. Jay dropped them, then Jimmy and Jay. Fuck this dude up. So if this was just Jimmy and a plan, how the fuck are you going to have Roman apologize or apologize to Roman? Or are you going to say that Roman took one for the team for the bigger picture? There's ways you could have done it where you wouldn't have been super kicked, right? I mean, if you were in on it, then Roman, Jimmy, and Solo would have just beat the shit out of Jay. So there's problems with that creativity, Stegmeister. You'd really have to get creative within that what if. See, BC's covering all bases on that one, Stegmeister. Appreciate you, dude. On that super thanks. PB Silly Pride, one of my tried and true gold members as well. 2-spot BC, playing the same game over again. That was a quote that I put up in that podcast. PB Silly Pride, having some fun with that quote. If you know, you know. If you watch the podcast, you know what we're talking about. Book Charlotte and Roman and screw everyone else. That's the way it is in 2015. Oh, wait, but it's 2023. So PB Silly Pride using a little bit of sarcasm there for WWE's BS, ludicrous, criminal, tragic booking. The Charlie Show rolls on, PB Silly Pride. Appreciate the coffee, man. Good to see you up in here, and thank you for that next level of respect for this channel, man. Just like Dwayne Kearns. D-Wayne with a 2-spot just says thanks, BC. Thank you, Dwayne, for that super thanks coffee, bro. And I think, too, I got everyone in the podcast before. So if I missed anybody, I will get them. But you guys want to watch every single minute of all these podcasts, because any super thinkers, every podcast, I've been thanking every single one of you guys, man, making sure you guys get that proper shout out. So I kept you guys here roughly an hour. I think I'm going to call it there. Until next time, and there will be a next time. Believe that. Top guy, I'm out. BC, saying check you. Salute. Happy Father's Day to the fathers out there. Women! Maybe a back rub, a little bit of massage for your dudes out there, right? If they're bringing up little humanoids or pets, little dogs, little cats, man, it's a lot of work. The dude is helping out. If they're helping out, a little massage maybe. If they're doing absolutely nothing and you're doing it all, ladies, give them a kick in the ass. BC, check you guys. Salute.